Make sure it's recording. 3, 2, 1. We're live. Welcome back to the Wandering Bear Sports Podcast, the number one sports podcast in the world. Jed Holloway, COVID survivor. How are you, brother?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. So we're just talking before about you actually have COVID. How you been feeling? What's it like?
Yeah, well, it's funny because most of the time, I think like many people thought it was a bit of a myth going on, and like a lot of people have probably seen it's coming through Japan quite rapidly, and it's a bit of a challenge for the team moving forward. But fortunately, one of our blokes come down with it, and then
Do they know how he got it?
No, that's the thing. But rugby being such a close contact, you're in huddles constantly, you're tackling and sweating and bleeding on other blokes. So knocked out about 14 of our team, and I was the lucky one to be one of those guys. So it's knocked me around a fair bit,
Yeah, you sent me a voice recording of yourself maybe 5 days ago, and you sounded terrible, but you're almost back to normal. Are you feeling all right now?
Yeah, I still got like a mild cough, but that's about it. But yeah, when I see that recording, like my symptoms were a bit different. Like I didn't get fevers, had my smell and taste and everything, but my throat just got so swollen, and it felt like I had really bad tonsillitis.
Yeah.
And for one night there, I started getting these real bad chest pains, and messaged my wife and talked to my mum. I'm on my last legs here.
Was it that bad?
Just in the moment. I think there's the stigma of it all. It's quite scary, knowing that it has killed people and people have really had difficulties with it. And, me being by myself in Japan, not knowing the medical system, not knowing who to call if, something did go. I think it got to me a fair bit, and, scared me a little bit. So, may have overreacted a little bit. My wife will probably say I am.
Well, it's probably like I was talking to Kane Doug yesterday, and we had like 9 COVID cases here before Christmas, and the whole world shuts down here. Yeah. And he was saying at one point in France, there's like 50,000 new cases a day. Yeah. And they're just going on as per normal. So what's it like in Japan at the moment?
It's
or can you tell what's going on with all the language barrier?
No. I was actually just talking to one of the Aussie boys who's up in Tokyo, and as you know, Tokyo's in a state of emergency, so they're basically, I'm not sure if it's full lockdown, but I think they're starting to push towards that, which is massive for Japan because they love to keep their economy going.
Absolutely.
And he said that he's listening to a translator who's translating Japanese news for him.
Yeah.
And he said that he wished that he didn't do that because now it's just heightened his senses to it all. For a long time, I didn't even know what was going on here. You wouldn't hear about it, or for us Aussies or English speaking guys, you wouldn't know about that it was so bad in the country. But it is quite a challenge, and I think just today they've announced that the Olympics are cancelled as well.
Sorry, I can't think properly. So they were going to have the Olympics 2021, and now they've just cancelled it.
I think so, yeah. I think that's what I read in the media today. I think, I don't see how they're going to do it, man, to be honest. It's fucking crazy here at the moment in terms of COVID.
Have they given you... Sorry, you go.
I don't see how they're going to push forward with our competition, to be honest with you. But, it's definitely going to be different, and there's going to be challenges to overcome. And, we just got to try to be flexible and keep on moving forward.
What... Have they given you any medication or anything? Or is it literally you just got to battle it out, and if you get real bad, you got to go to hospital?
This is the Japanese cold and flu right here. It looks like a strange white substance. But
we've never seen that kind of thing before.
But yeah, you basically just pour the lid off that and smack that down your throat, and I think that's just paracetamol and that. But that's basically all they've given me is that, and I think anything really treated over here is basically treated with green tea and rest.
Yeah.
A boy blew his ACL, MCL, PCL, basically his whole knee out in one of our trial games, and he wasn't given a green whistle. He just had to sit on the sideline and just wait for
just get a cup of rice tea or something.
Yeah, man, it's crazy here. Like, there's no medication offered. Like, there is if you really do need it, but like you gotta push quite hard, I think.
Where in Japan are you?
So I'm in Nagoya. Basically, if you look at the Japanese map and you look at Tokyo and Osaka, we're kind of smack bang in the middle on the coastline there.
Okay. So something I've wanted to ask is, what is a Verb Blitz? So you're playing for anyone who might be listening, a Toyota Verb Blitz is the team you're now playing for. What is a Verb Blitz?
This is a great question, to be honest. On all our mascot, I guess, it looks like a little elf thing I guess in the back here. Doesn't have any stuff on it. Yeah, it's basically like a little elf type looking thing throwing a lightning bolt, so something along those lines, I guess.
Now, for those of us who aren't familiar with Japanese rugby, how's it set up? It's a company-run system.
Yeah, so all the franchise or all the teams I guess are run by major companies. So we're Toyota. You've got Coca-Cola, Panasonic, NEC. They're all running these teams. So basically, it's kind of similar to, I'd say, Sydney club rugby in terms of you're playing with guys who, their living is they work for the company. And then you've got these sprinkle of foreigners who they bring in as professionals. So a lot of our guys work, 2-3 days a week, full time. And then the other days where they aren't working, they start at sort of, they finish work at 1 o'clock in the arvo, and that's when our training starts. So Monday, Thursday, our training doesn't start until 1 or 2 in the afternoon because we've got to accommodate for the company boys still getting their hours in.
Are they mostly Japanese guys?
Yeah, they're all Japanese guys. Yeah.
So how is life over there? Can you go out and do much? Have you been able to see anything, do anything? Like how do you spend your days?
Well, we've got a great bunch of foreigners here. Like we've got, a couple of world-class internationals, but they're honestly just great, genuine blokes, and we do quite well just to spend time with each other because Nagoya is not the most exciting city. I think it's actually renowned to be the most boring city in Japan. So there's not much other than shopping here. So the boys just go play golf. In the week off, me and a couple of other boys went up to Hakuba, which is a snow resort.
I saw some of your Instagram stuff. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then basically now that the things are starting to time up, we've got team protocols in place where basically now all we can do is train, come back home, get our recovery. We can only go out to basically like the NRL bubble had.
Yeah.
Can't go out and sit down at cafes, can only get takeaway food and just do essential shopping. So starting to tighten up now that COVID's getting worse, but it is what it is.
We'll talk about some of your teammates in a little bit, but do they know how the Japanese comp's going to work? Is it if someone gets COVID, we just lock it down and then we replay those games, or is it a wait and see type thing?
Well, it originally was. So if one person in your team got COVID, the whole team would shut down for 2 weeks. Yeah. And whatever games that team would play, they were going to be a draw for both teams. But the way the first week of the competition was meant to happen last weekend, and I think 6 or 7 teams had multiple cases of COVID, and so they couldn't really play round one. So I think the big dogs of the league had to all sit down and put their heads together, and they were like, all right, we'll postpone it. We're going to start it at a later date. I think that's yet to come out, but I think it's like mid-February or something. It's just going to be a shortened season. And then they're going to try and make it work from there. I think the same protocols are in place in terms of if one person gets it, then the whole team shuts down, which sucks. It's a kick in the guts because like we've worked so hard in preseason and was starting to, you know how it is. The excitement slowly builds for round one, and in Japan you play 8 trial games building up to a season, so you're keen to sort of get going again, and then a week out from our season, we have these COVID cases, and the whole program has to shut down. And we literally can't do anything. Like we can't lift, we can't run. And as you know, like although we probably don't like to think it's an important part of footy, it is. And that's where injuries come into play, and they have to reassess the whole thing.
Yeah, and from another point of view, you're having 2 weeks off where you can do literally nothing, and then you're going back into full training. You got to get reconditioned to contact, and that's exactly when injuries happening. Who you said you got a couple of big name internationals. Who are they?
We're lucky enough to have Hoops, Michael Hooper, Kieran Reid, and Willie LaRue. In my opinion, are probably at different parts of their career, they're the 3 best individuals in those positions in the world.
What's it like being around those guys? Have you taken anything away from them in terms of how they handle themselves off field? What are they like as guys? All that sort of, what's their work ethic around training?
They're just good dudes. Like obviously, I've known Hoops for 9 years now, so. But it's been really, refreshing to see him in a different environment other than the Waratahs or Australian rugby.
I'd imagine he'd be a lot more relaxed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not to say that he was uptight before, but, he's carrying the weight of the Wallabies captaincy, the Waratahs captaincy, and, the pressure of the media who, we know Australian media, they're on your case if you aren't getting wins. So he's constantly got his guard up. And then to see the Hoops that I've seen over here is, it's just the side which you most people don't know, but your surfy side of Hoops, which are more relaxed, and it's really awesome to see. And I'm sure he'll learn off guys like Rito and Willie. Like Willie's just all about footy. Like in terms of doesn't believe in smashing Jim out or working too hard. He's all about turning up and playing Saturday. And I've got 2 players who, like, in my whole career that I've played with who are just special like that. And one's Kurtley Beale and the other one's him. Like they just have so much time and space when they play footy, and there's stuff that they see on a field. And you play with Willie, and I've only played like 2 or 3 games with him, and he commentates the whole time. Like he's telling you to run lines, and then he passes you the ball, you hit a line, and if he likes it, he starts cheering for you middle of the game as he's still going. Like, it's awesome energy to feed off, and it's just fun to be a part of him. And then Kieran, like, is obviously his resume speaks for itself. And it's funny actually. We were sitting down before all this stuff hit, and we were talking about Hoops coming over here and stuff like that, and how he'd feel about it, and like how he's excited to meet him and stuff like that. And he was talking about the pressures. Like I asked him about his experience over here, and he's like, look, it's been really good. For a long time I was taking footy home with him, and all the pressure of his whole career was sort of building on him, and it was kind of good to escape that stuff. And he's like, I hope, Hoops, does the same thing, because it does. Like, he's had a lot of games and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, but you've come from the most successful team in the world, the All Blacks and the Crusaders, who have come from a winning culture, and you're saying you were wound down like that. And then Hoops has come from, we've had sprinkles of success, but, a lot of losing in our past, and the pressures of there. So imagine how he's feeling. So,
oh, absolutely. Well, could you imagine being the most famous man in the country? I just and the national sport pastime, and a lot of their culture is around the success of the All Blacks. And he's the captain, 2-time World Cup winner, and one of the greatest ever. I can only imagine it would be a good experience for him being in Japan. Is Cronny's coaching you guys?
He is, yeah.
Tell me a bit about what it's like working with him, because he's very well regarded in Australia. And I've only met him a couple of times, but from the peripheries, it seems like a bit of a loss for us.
Yeah.
How's he going? How's he enjoying it? What's it like working with him again?
Yeah, I was very excited as soon as Connie contacted me and asking if I was keen to come over. Obviously, his success speaks for itself as a coach with Norse, and then even when he comes to the task, we made he wasn't the head coach, but we had a huge amount of success with some of the stuff he did, and no, he hasn't probably got the fair share of stuff here at Toyota because a couple of years ago they had a guy who was caught in possession of cocaine, so they shut the whole program down, and then he got it started again, and then COVID hit, and then now he's kind of started again this preseason, and COVID sort of interrupted it again. So, I kind of feel bad for the bloke because, as you know, he's probably one of the biggest footy guys.
I was just going to say that. I've heard a couple of interviews that he's done, and he just sounds like he loves rugby. And for those guys, not coaching directly is probably almost like a kind of punishment for them.
Yeah. I think that's the best word for it. Like, it'd be a punishment for him because all he wants to do is coach, and he's completely thrown himself into it over here. And I kind of feel bad for the guy because his passion for the game is contagious. Like, you feed off it, and to have something like that taken away from him, you can see he's kind of struggling with it. But look, I hope we get it on track and we can put it on the field, because the way he brings the team together and the respect he shows to guys and everything like that makes you really want to play for the bloke. So I just hope we can get on the field and have some success for him.
Is Steve Hansen still there?
Mate, he's here, but he's not here. Like, he basically is an advisor role. So I think he was meant to be over here, but with COVID and the state of emergency in Japan, they're not allowing even visa holders in. So I don't know if he can actually get in at the moment. But I haven't met him in person yet. He spoke on a couple of Zoom meetings, but
yeah,
I think he's more there to coach. Sort of, he looks over the Zoom meetings and coaches coaches are coaches type of thing.
Okay, that'd be pretty cool for Cronny to have that. Don't tell me exactly, but I was talking to Kane about this, and I don't want to know how much you make, but how much better is the money in Japan than Australia?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
So just say you're earning, just say you get $100 in Australia. What would you get in Japan?
You're probably looking at $200. Like, you're probably looking at double what you're getting.
Plus accommodation and a car.
Plus accommodation. We don't get cars,
which
is surprising playing for Toyota. But they pay all our bills. Basically, they give us a house. They sort us out that way. But yeah,
I'm just trying to give people an idea on what it's like playing rugby overseas, because you see a lot of people criticising guys that go overseas, and I just trying to give people an understanding. Like, if someone offered you double the money to go and be a carpenter and live in Japan and have all your bills paid, anyone in their right mind's going to do that.
Look, Stephen Hoyles gave me when I was about 21 or 22, and I was sorry, I was playing at the Tars, but I wasn't. Maybe it was a year that we won the final, but I wasn't in the team. We were just sort of playing at South, and I was kind of, he knew I was playing well, but he was like, behind Cliffy, and he's like, mate, you should just go to Japan for 1 or 2 years and get in front in life, and then, if you want to come back and like, at least you don't have pressure of money and stuff like that. And honestly, I really wish I took that advice, but being young and chasing the dream and stuff like that. All I ever wanted to do was play for the Waratahs and Wallabies, and or try to play for the Wallabies anyway.
Well, you got as close as anyone could get without ever actually getting there. So you toured with them, is that right? And then you got injured.
Yeah, toured with them. No,
you played a Wallaby trial, didn't you?
Yeah, played a Wallaby trial. Toured with them, been into a few camps with them, but unfortunately never got to wear the cap. But in terms of, my career, it's kind of been a blessing in disguise, because if you have an international cap, when you go to places like Japan, France, you're considered as a marquee signing, and there's only a certain amount of people there's only a certain amount of marquee signings in each team. So if I have one international cap and say I'm playing second row, I'm now considered on the same playing field as your Brodie Retallick, your Sam Whitelocks, your Kane Douglases, or whatever you want to pitch up. And that's how they see you. So I'm considered as a non-capped player. So there's a lot more positions that are open for guys like me.
I don't want to talk too much about 2020, but I'm more interested in what people learned from it. How did you find 2020? Let's start with personally, because from the outside or around the fringes of you looking in, it seemed like a good year for you.
Yeah, a lot of people would say it was a good year, but it was hard, man. It was hard. A lot of change.
But was that more footy related than life related?
Oh, well, I got married, got a little girl on the way as well, so we fell pregnant. So I was excited from that. But at the moment, I'm currently separated from my wife. She's over in Florida. She's unable to get to Japan. And, the way the season is, I tried to get over there a couple of times to go see her. But with the whole quarantine protocols coming back into Japan, the company were kind of a bit hard on that, and they didn't want me going for a week and then missing 2 weeks again, 2 weeks of training. So man, it's been really hard, and missing out on, as we talk about footy, moving in a different direction from the Tars, it was, in the moment, was quite hard for me. But it taught me a lot of things about myself, and taught me that footy doesn't last forever, and it can almost be considered a blanket for a lot of other issues going on. Or for a long time, for me, it was all about playing on Saturday, and not much else would really matter. And then 2020 happened, and footy was taken away, and it made me really sit down and think about what am I going to do next, and it's fucking scary. I don't have many qualifications, and just trying to work out my path after footy. And it's still an ongoing thing, but props to my wife and stuff like that. We've tried a couple of different things, and the way my mind thinks, I'm constantly chopping and changing, and as everyone is. But it's starting to become a clearer picture now, and hopefully we sort it out this year, and 2020 looks brighter for everyone.
2021.
2021, sorry.
Have you got any idea what you want to do after footy? It's one of those.
Go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's a weird sort of thing, because you get so much out of doing what you've done, and the memories you have, and the places you've been, and the life you've lived for really your whole 20s, and then to jump into the real world is quite scary. And you're going, look, I'm probably getting paid more than an average 20. How old are you now? 28?
28, yeah.
Yeah, probably getting paid more than an average 28-year-old, and you want to do something that's as fulfilling. Have you got any interest in coaching?
I do, yeah. So I've looked at a lot of things, from teaching, getting into a school system somewhere. Did some coaching while we were away, and I think it's hard to see my life, without some sort of rugby in it, because it's all I've known really in terms of the sporting front. So I'll always be involved in rugby. But as you know, I did a bit of coaching, a bit of one-on-one stuff with kids at the start of the year or during the pandemic.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Like, so you guys had 40% of your salary taken away, and
yeah, 70% at the start.
Yes, 70% of your salary, and I saw a lot of people put their head in their hands and go, "Oh fuck, why me?" and get angry. And I'm sure you might have done that a little bit, but you kind of, made lemonade out of lemons there. And tell us what you did, because I went to one of your sessions with one of the kids, and I saw quite a bit of it. And it was pretty impressive, really. What did you end up doing?
Yeah, thanks, mate. To be honest, when it first happened, I think we all cracked open a couple of beers and sort of put our head in the hands and thought about what was going to happen next. But again, like, it was kind of an opportunity for me to, sit down and I needed to earn some money. Obviously, I had bills to pay and stuff to do, and the wage we were on, the way it was cut, was not ideal for someone who was 20, 27, 28 who had stuff to pay. So, basically I did a bit of shameless self-promotion and chucked my name out there and, offered a bit of one-on-one coaching just with kids, whatever ages, and just like hour sessions. And man, I honestly loved it. At the start, I was shambles. Like, again, going back, one of the things in rugby is you always have a manager or someone to run your life for you. You know what each day is going to look like because someone's done that work. And in that, like, I started off with about, I think, 4 or 5 clients, and I didn't write any of them down. I was like, it's just a challenge for me to just remember stuff. And my missus is going like, you got to start writing these down. I was showing up to wrong venues and stuff like that. So I started to work it out on the fly, and with the help from her, and it started to run quite well. I think I was up to about 20 to 25 clients a week. So about 25 hours of coaching, and created some great little relationships there with some of the kids. And, one thing it showed me is, like, I really enjoy that side of footy. Like, it gives you a different perspective. I heard you talking about, you retiring now, and I'm sure you're going into coaching, I think, a little bit. And it makes you think of the game in a different way. And you break down the whole skill of things, you look at why we do things a certain way, and, just trying to find ways to coach that, and comparing yourself on coaches in the past and how you'd like to be coached, and just sort of feeling that out along the way was really a cool little experience for me. And it's something I definitely want to pursue moving forward.
Mate, yeah, I've jumped into coaching this year. It's weird. Retiring's weird. Like, Southern Districts has been my life, my entire adult life. Like, you're very similar. You've been there for a lot of it. And I just thought, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. And I've always wanted to be a coach. Like, I find that side of the game so much more interesting. Like, how to get a group of people to see what you see. And, like Matt Gibbon, as opposed to like Tim Metcher, they're going to learn completely differently. Mm-hmm. And I just find that so interesting. But I think, but in another way, it's kind of like, I would like to be a professional coach one day, but I'm just not sure that the jobs are going to be there, if that makes sense. And I don't want to rely on rugby for income.
Yeah.
Even though
that's very similar. Yeah, that's very similar to me, like, I love rugby. I want it to be a part of my life, but, I also want to do other stuff and have a different identity for myself. Like, for a long time, I've just been known as a rugby player, and I know, and I know a lot of people around me believe there's a lot more to me than that.
Absolutely.
So I want to really explore that thing, but I just don't know what that pathway or how to get to that pathway kind of looks like at the moment. So
yeah,
it's, as you said, that side of it's scary.
It's finding out what you want to do is hard. I think the only real way to do it is to try things and see if you like it. From my point of view, are you going to end up in the US? Do you reckon?
Yeah, well, me and the missus just bought a house over there. We're setting that up. So as soon as the season's done here, I'll be going straight over there and hopefully either be welcoming a newborn baby or be coming straight over there and have it like Kaylee will already have it. So hopefully I'll get that timing right and be able to be over there while that's all happening. And then we're gonna live in Lakeland and fill that out. And Kaylee's been working hard on a nice house there, and it looks amazing. So I'm so excited for that side of it. I love American sport and, love just exploring new things as well. I think if anything, living in Japan and even Ireland last year, new experiences help you grow as a sort of person. As you would know, travel's an amazing thing and experiencing different cultures. So I'm super excited for that side of things.
Where's Lakeland?
Down near Tampa Bay in Florida.
Oh, mate, that'd be fantastic, I reckon.
Yeah.
Tell me about Munster. So you spent a little bit of time at Munster?
Yeah.
How was that?
Again, mate, it's unbelievable little, I would say little, but unbelievable club. The Irish are fantastic people. And the Guinness was great as well.
How long were you there for all up?
Only about 3 months. I was just there as all their guys were at the World Cup, so I was on one of those World Cup jokers or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was lucky enough. Stephen Larkham just shot me a message one day, and he's like, "Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Fucking oath, we'll see how we can go." Obviously, I had a few hurdles to jump over. I had to get the permission from Australian Rugby and the Waratahs to let me go, and then obviously there was a few other guys in the mix as well, but I was lucky enough to get that opportunity, and man, I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it.
How's the rugby compare to Australia from your perspective? Is it more set piece orientated? Like, does the weather really have an impact on how the game's played?
It does, man. It does. Like they love the tight stuff, and the game is so slow. But mate, they love it. Like the first game I watched there, I think it was like a 10-9 or 10-7 score line, and it was in like pissing down rain, some of the worst conditions you'd see, and it was just you'd standard like 10-man rugby sort of stuff. Like they just kicked the corners more, penalty goal. And it was one of the worst, in my opinion, one of the worst games like I've ever watched. But then you leave the ground and you listen to the fans that were there, and they were just constantly raving on about how good of a game it was, how good the battle and the contest was the whole time. And it's just their perspective of it. And it's just different. Like the more and more time I spent there, you kind of figure it out, because there is a different beauty to that sort of game. Like it takes a real mental strength to sort of stay in those games, like when you're playing them, and really grind them out, and they honestly just love that side of footy, and they'd spend hours and hours on set piece line outs and scrumming stuff, and the stuff that they taught me, was something that I never learned at Waratahs in 8 years of footy.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. How old were you when you made your TARS debut?
think I was 19.
Can you remember much from that day?
Yeah.
How?
Sorry.
No, you go.
I was named in the bench. Cliffy got injured, and then it was funny. Checking one of the meetings kind of got at me. He's like, Jed, why aren't you in one of my offers telling me I'm a fuckwit for not picking you? I'm like, well, I don't know. And he's like, well, fucking get a bit of edge about you. And then walked off out of the meeting. And then I think it was Horny or someone come up to me. He's like, so you're going to go talk to him? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, I've as a player, I've always been like, I trust the coach to make the decisions on what he sees. Like, I've never been a confrontational guy where I'm going to go bang my fist on the table and make a fuss out of things. I just thought me training would do it. So I'm a bit introverted like that. So I was kind of building myself up, pacing up and down the like hallways, trying to work up the courage to go sit down with this bloke and tell him that I want to play. Anyway, finally got the thing and just asked him, I'm like, so are you going to give me an opportunity? He's like, yeah, you're on the bench this weekend. I was like, fuck, well, that was pretty easy.
So he made you he made you ask for it.
Yeah, basically. And then I sat on the bench that whole game, and man, I was so nervous. And I didn't get on that first week. And then by the end of the game, I was just mentally and physically drained because I was just sitting there in my own head the whole time, just trying to like build up the courage, and it drained me. And then it was kind of perfect for me because the next week I actually made my debut. And because I had that game where I just sat on the bench and, you know, went through all those experiences, it sort of taught me for the next week what not to do. And I only got like 9 minutes, I think, against a Western Force. And man, it was one of the longest 9 minute periods of my career, I reckon. But you know, it was one that was most memorable. I wore this disgusting Gilbert headgear, and I've never wore a headgear.
I remember that one.
Yeah, seeing myself on TV with that on, I was like, oh my god, I can't be rocking this if I'm going to have a career in rugby.
So you grew up wanting to be a Waratah?
Yeah, I did.
When you got there, how did you feel about it? Because you got there at a young age, and I'm kind of fascinated by this because you see a lot of people who achieve their lifelong dream, and it's maybe not as rewarding as they thought it was going to be. Like, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, man, I still remember getting offered my contract from the team. That whole process, like we had. I remember it so clearly. Bladesy was our coach. I remember the coach sort of calling up Bladesy and Bladesy having a few sit downs with me and just saying, "Don't get excited." But they're asking about it, blah blah blah. And then my manager at the time said that I'd been offered the gig, and it was only an EPS contract. And you're looking at that stage, I think it was about like 35 grand for the year. But still, like I was over the moon. Like I'd going to be a professional rugby player. And as you know, like I come from Yamba, which was a small little country town up the far north coast there. And I'd only been down in Sydney for sort of 2 years. And all this was happening so quickly, my whole rugby career. And to finally get that opportunity was an absolute dream of mine. And I still remember the first day of training, we had to go to Queen's Park to train instead of Centennial Parklands. And big Cliffy, Wycliffe Palu. I've been looking up to him my whole career, like loved the way he played. Everything. Never met the bloke before, but just loved the way he played. And first day of training, did my medical. We had to go to the field to train. Hadn't seen anyone yet. Walk out of the building, Cliffy walks out at the same time as me, and I'm like a 19-year-old kid just trying to like size this guy up, and he just gives me like this big like hey, how you doing, but doesn't say a word, and then like walks to my car with me, and he's like, yeah, I'm jumping in with you. I was like, fuck. It's like, have you seen the state of my car? I've got shit everywhere in here. I was like, as he's trying to get in the car, I'm like shoveling stuff into the back seat, trying to like show that I'm a clean person, but we all know that I'm not.
Me neither, bro. Me neither.
Yeah. But I'm just driving to this place with a guy I've looked up to my whole career, just like trying to force conversation, and I probably sounded like an idiot, but I don't know. That's one of my best memories I've had. And I remember training that session. I've never dropped so many footballs in my life, and I just had the assistant coach, Alan Gaffney, come up to me afterwards and wrap his arm around me and just be like, "It's all right, mate. We know you're nervous, so just get that one out of the way and get on with it." And mate, from that day on, I was loving it.
I'm fascinated by this. Do you still get nervous, or has it become easier for you as you've gotten older?
In patches, I think. In patches, you know, I think when you've solidified a position, and it's kind of hard to say, but you know your position's safe in a team. You gain a confidence about yourself where you don't become, I wouldn't say nervous, but you're more excited to get out there and show what you can do. But I think, you know, in my situation where I've been in and out of the team at a Waratah level for, you know, the last 2-3 years I was there. So there was kind of always that side of anxiety and stuff. And I know people talk about, you know, we're not winning and stuff like that. So you're constantly anxious about stuff. And I think that brings nerves into it. And I know people say, "Oh, you got to deal with that. You got to learn to deal with that shit and all that stuff." But you know, you do worry about that side of footy, and at the end of the day, we all just want to play. And you know, you when you're in a position where you're not certain if your position's guaranteed, you do worry about it.
When I did the NRC at the Rebels, I think the guy's name was Cam. He was the Rupa liaison guy. Yeah. Lovely bloke. He said to me, "This is one of the only jobs where you are judged every single day, every single week on what you do. And it's not just your boss that judges you, it's the public as well."
Yeah.
Which is a pretty weird thing, particularly in your early to mid 20s. In terms of like the mental side of the game, have you ever done any work with someone on that?
Yeah. I've done a lot of worked with multiple sports psychologists around that side of the game, but more so working out my own sort of stuff. Like I never thought I was one to always, you know, try work out the way I'm feeling. But I had a mate take his own life a few years ago, and that kind of brought me in touch with like constantly worrying about like the way I'm feeling and how that's affecting me. So I've worked with probably like 5 or 6 different sort of sports psychs or even just normal psychologists, just trying to work out what's going on. So I find that a very important side to not only the game, but in terms of, as you said, like you're always uncertain around the football side of things, and just your general lifestyle and finding a balance away from footy if that isn't going right. Like for me, coming here, my balance has always been my spearfishing and my surfing back in Sydney, and coming to, you know, Nagoya in Japan, where both those things are taken away from me. The first month here was a massive challenge, you know. Just my life was like footy and at home, and I didn't have, you know, my wife here or mates that I was really comfortable with to sort of take that pressures away from me. And you know, it was a challenge, and you know, I had to speak to sports psychs or just to sort of go through those emotions and regulate the way I was feeling. So I honestly encourage that stuff with anyone in particular. Like, I think it's so important.
Particularly with blokes our age. Like, you're a couple of years younger than me, so I shouldn't say our age, but you're getting there. Yeah. But I look at elite sport and I'm sort of fascinated by how it all works. And if you look at all the top rugby teams in the world, they're all pretty much playing the same footy. They're all similar athletes. So surely an edge that people can get is getting more on the mental side of things.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting better, but I still think we could do more with that. When you're talking, when you're dealing with these guys, is it more just getting stuff off your chest, or do they give you like processes and things that you can do, like meditating or, time away from your phone or things like that?
No, they give you they work on process and routine. I think is a big one that I find. Sort of recentering yourself, which is some sort of meditation, I guess. Like, you can go, what do you see, hear, or smell, or feel? Like, for me,
sort of bringing you back to the moment type thing, rather than dwelling in your head. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, like when I'm on that anxious side, and say I just knocked on a footy or something, like, anyone does it, you fucking going, shit, why did I do that? And like, you feel bad about yourself, and then it's like, rightio, I'll bring myself back to center and focus on, the next 10 seconds and how I can have a positive impact now, instead of dwelling on what's in the past. Because as we know, rugby's a pretty fast-flowing game. If you're 10 seconds behind everyone or thinking about what you did in the past, then you're going to miss out on a lot of things moving forward. So I think, to your point, I think it's a massive area which is still untapped. Like, there's only been a few teams where, there's been that sports psychologists actually ready, available to guys. And only till recently, like, you'd have to go ask the team doctor or the Rupa guy for a sports psychologist. And for rugby players, or even males in general, that's a hard thing to do, where we're all a bit prideful, and we want to be seen as this big alpha, but it's so important to have that side of things tapped in, because I've seen guys fall apart and completely fall off the radar because they haven't had that side ready to go. I've almost had it multiple times because I've gone off the rails a bit and then had to be brought back to center, just from a mental standpoint. So I think it's so important, and as you said, like, it's something that can be grown and definitely be offered as an edge in teams around the world.
Tell me about spearfishing.
Yeah.
Where did that start? I've always wanted to. I see your Instagram videos when you were back here, and I always got jealous, and I was like, I want Jed to take me out one day. How'd you get into it? How did you start?
It's something I've always done. My old man taught me years and years ago. We kind of grew up around the water, and it's just something that we've always done, especially down in the national park there, down near our cabin. Fishing and spearfishing and surfing is kind of just a part of our lives. And Dad learned a couple of the hard way. I speared him a couple of times with my hand spear growing up. Yeah, accidentally. But
of course.
Yeah, but he definitely taught me basically everything I know. And going around here, all the lobsters you see I get are all from holes that either he's shown me or granddad's passed down to him that now I use. So it's all like a cycle of just being passed down the line, really. And man, I love it. Like in terms of feeling present and focus on what's in front of you, I don't think there's many other sports other than spearfishing where all you can do is focus on your breathing, and you got to have a clear mind. Otherwise you're thinking about sharks or something, or if there's a fish in front of you, all you want to do is try to get that fish. So for me, who's a bit of a head case, I love that side of things in terms of it brings me back to the present. I can hear all the cool sounds under the water, and you get a nice feed of seafood afterwards.
What's the biggest shark you've ever seen?
Mate, I haven't seen any big ones, and really no dangerous ones either. It's just all the little dog sharks that sit in or wobbegongs that sit in lobster holes that you have to kind of pull out. But other than that, there's been nothing dangerous. But it's always in the back of your mind.
Oh, I'm sure it would be. I'm sure it would be, especially being as big as you are. They probably think you're a seal or something. Look at that delicious seal. Tell me about Ira.
Yeah. So Ira's a little spot which has been sort of passed down through my family for a long, long time. My pop built it in the Depression years in, I think, 1930s. My uncle and my old man, know a lot more than me about it. But it's a
where is it? Where is it?
It's just in the Royal National Park, south of Sydney. There, like you've walked through there. You feel like you're completely separated from. You don't feel like you're 30 minutes away from Sydney. I've got photos of it just here with me, just to make sure, like I remember the place. But the good thing about that joint is, there's a cabin community of about 150 people. They've known me since I was a snotty-nosed kid. And I remember when I was like 18 or 19, starting to sort of feel my way out as a teenager or as a young man. And I was starting to get a bit big for my boots. And I was wrestling one person down there, pissed one day, and thinking I'm a big dog, just got a Super Rugby contract. And then one of the guys down there was like, "Rightio, you think you're big for your boots? I'll take you on." And he was about 4'11", like this little nugget. I was like, "I've got this guy," and wrestled him, and he absolutely put a clinic on me and got on top of me. I had braces at the time, and he got on top of me and like jabbed his elbow into my face. I just remember like sitting in the corner afterwards, like peeling my top lip off my braces. I'm like, "Rightio, I'm never going to do this down this place again." And it's the best thing for me, like going back down there. They don't worry about, who you are or what you've done. It's who they know you are as a person. And good times and bad, it's always been a place for me where I go around my people and just recenter myself.
So for anyone who might be listening, the Ira people probably don't want you to go there, but you got to drive all the way into the national park, and then it's what is it, a 15-minute walk?
Oh, we'll say it's an hour walk. Huh?
Yeah, it's an hour walk, so it's totally isolated. But man, having a place like that would be such a breath of fresh air. I knew you used to go down there a lot. I only went there a couple of times, but it's something I wish I did more.
And Mum and Dad are always down there, so if you go walk through, go give them a shout, and I'm sure Dad will hopefully have a couple of beers there.
Oh, you just sparked my memory. One of the things we have in common is we've both got crazy mothers.
Hold on. Can I do a piss, Chubby?
Yeah. Go for it. Good, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things we've both got in common is we've both got. I said crazy before, but let's say that's probably not doing justice to crazy people. Let's say out there mothers. I noticed when you left, your mum wrote a comment on a Facebook thing that the Tars did. And then it turned into a Daily Telegraph article. And thankfully I couldn't read it because those fucking idiots make you pay for it. Were you aware of that? Or how stupid is the world that we live in, where a mother is defending her son? Let's say defending. She was probably giving the Tars a little bit of grief.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a newspaper article. Were you aware of that? Did you make much of it?
No, look, I was aware of what she said, and she made some other comments originally, and I had to, where she named a few people, but I had to give her a quick call and tell her, we got to remember, I may come back to Sydney and I may see these people down the track. So let's not bury people or individuals entirely. But look, I was aware of of what she said, and it's crazy that it ended up in the paper. They probably thought it was a reflection of the way I was feeling, and to be honest, at the time it was. But you know, my mum just cares, my family care. Like they're all hurt. We're all hurt by that whole scenario, and which I think we're over now. Like, let me be on the record saying now, like, I love the Waratahs. I want nothing but success for the team. I love all the blokes there. But we're just hurt by the whole scenario. And
Absolutely.
I love my mum for her passion she shows, and the way she will have no shame in just completely dropping that stuff on Facebook. You know, it's something that I wouldn't do, but you know, she's good for that.
Well, I must admit, reading it, I think she was spot on from my point of view. You can't say that. I can. And I just think it's fucking crazy that a mother's Facebook comment is now national news. But yeah. I wanted to ask you, we'll talk about Southern Districts in a second. What's it like being a Waratah in Sydney? In terms of off the field stuff, because you guys, like I was talking to Taff about this, when you guys won the Super Rugby tournament, and you were kind of on the fringes at that time, you had full houses every week, and then all of a sudden, you know, you have less than ideal results. You lose a couple of games, win a couple of games, sort of a mixed bag, and then everyone buries you, and there's no crowds. And are the boys aware of that? How does that affect guys who are in the squad?
Look, I'm sure guys who want that side of footy in terms of being recognised and stuff like that might affect them. But for me, no, it was, I guess the frustrating thing for me was just the fan support. I think, you know, that it's such a busy town, Sydney, like traveling around, you know, you see other places and you see them having a small amount of teams, and you wonder why, like, Sydney can't support their rugby teams or their teams in general like they support them. But they've just got so many sporting teams on offer there that they choose to support the team that's, you know, winning. And that's, you know, the case with the Tars as well. Like if you're winning, they'll show up, but if you're losing, they just won't. And I think that was the most, you know, frustrating thing for me, was just the fact that, you know, the thing I loved about Southern Districts is, you know, no matter who you're playing, you'd have the same people show up. Fourth Grade Hill would always be packed with lunatics, and
my hand up there.
You really enjoy playing for those people, and to have and you enjoy creating those relationships with those guys, and you love turning up and putting on the jersey for them. And I think that's one thing that lacks, is that sort of culture side of the Tars, is it's not really there. Like you don't have that relationship with the fans enough to really have that close relationship to show them what it means for you to wear that jersey. So I think that's probably the hardest thing about it all, is you know, is not having that consistent fan base that you can really show that you want it for. It's constantly changing, and it's constantly based off results, which, you know, as I say, you know, it probably should be like that. Like, why should they pay $50 for their family to come out if they know it's going to be a shit result? So, yeah, it's kind of a hard one for me, to be honest.
Yeah. Let's change the subject. You brought it up before, Southern Districts. How did you end up at Southern Districts?
So my old man played for Port Hacking back in the day. He raves on about the success of Port Hacking, but all his mates tell me a different story, so I don't know who to believe there. But that was kind of the main reason why I wanted that. Like, I wanted to sort of follow in the same path as my old man. All my old man's mates played for South. Kane, who I grew up with, played for South at the time. So I wanted to sort of follow his path and learn off him more. And I went to watch one of the Southern Districts grade. I think they invited me to come watch a grade game and come talk to Kano and stuff like that. And I was with one of my dad's mates, and it was either out of Southern Districts or Sydney Uni. And one of his mates go, "You don't want to look like a fucking bumblebee when you play rugby, do you?" So I was like, right, yeah. I'll come to South. So, it was never in doubt really for me. Like, I also had close mates, Alex Gibbon, who was going to South as well. So I wanted to sort of stay with them and, go through that journey with them.
Tell me about, something I've always admired about you is even when you were like a regular starter for the Waratahs, you'd still come down to South whenever you could. During the week, you'd help out with line-outs. You'd come for a beer after a Tars game. You'd just hang around the boys. What impact has South had on you?
Yeah, I think like similar to as I talk about with Erie, it's mingling with people or like being with people who just love, life or love footy. A lot of our guys at South, work from, 6 till 3 or 6 till 4 on the tools and then show up and train all night basically and, get along with life. And I love, seeing that side of footy. And I think that's what I like about Japan also. These guys are working full-time jobs and they just love turning up because they love footy, and I think in Australian rugby that can almost be lost sometimes. Guys lose sight in what's actually important in footy, and that's hanging out with your mates and having a beer afterwards. Some people find it will have different stories, but all my best memories are surrounded by a good win and then having a good, beer and just talking shit with my mates after the game or my mates and family after the game and really being in that moment. And I think for a long time there with myself as well, you lose that side of footy and you lose what's actually important.
Let's throw a few people under the bus here. Who's the best partier you've come across at Southern District?
I think me and you both know the answer to that. It's got to be Rob Jones. I've never seen. It is hard to say. I've actually met some ridiculously good partiers over my time, but for someone as consistent over a long period of time, like we grow out of things as we get older, but for someone who just hasn't changed a single bit, gone through many girlfriends, it's unbelievable his consistency in that area.
He is a world-class partier. I've got to give it to him. He's one of my best friends, and he's an absolute right to be around. But I can't keep at that level. Like you have a level you can go to, which is quite impressive. And I feel I'm kind of the same. But Pony's consistency over about 15 years is world class.
I reckon.
He's going to hate this, but it is what it is, Pone. I've got a few random questions for you. Just part of why I wanted to do this is sort of give guys an insight into the characters behind the player, if that makes sense. So I'm going to ask you some random shit. What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie. I have to go off recent ones. I'll say Interstellar.
Okay, haven't seen that one. You're a coffee guy?
Yeah.
What kind of coffee do you drink? And have you found a good place in Japan yet?
There's a couple of decent ones, but nothing beats Australian coffee. I tend to go for a strong latte.
Do you listen to podcasts?
I do-ish, yeah.
Yeah, any you'd recommend?
Mate, it's pretty like I listen to Joe Rogan and then just American sort of Pat McAfee stuff like around sports and
yeah, I'm a Pat McAfee fan.
And that's about it, yeah.
And the Wandering Bear podcast. Yeah, Wandering Bear Sport. Mate, 700 followers in 2 days.
Yeah, laughing.
Unbelievable. What's your favorite food? Excluding lobster that you catch.
Mate, funny enough, I'm not a big lobster fan. I just like catching it and giving it to other people. But I love these salmon poke bowls that my missus used to make. But now being in Japan and constantly having abundance of fish and rice and stuff like that, I wouldn't probably say it's my favorite now. I'd kill for a good steak, garlic, broccoli, and mashed potato at the moment.
Beautiful. Who's the best rugby player you've ever played with?
In terms of just strictly footy?
Strictly footy.
It has to be, Kirtley in terms of just flat out talent and his ability to just flip a game on its head. It'd have to be Kirtley.
If you could have a beer with anyone, any walk of life, who would it be?
It'd have to be LeBron James, I think.
He's more of a wine guy, but he would be. Last thing, bro, and I'll let you go. I really thank you for doing this. What advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Don't be scared to take risks, I think would be the best advice. I think I've followed the path of, what others have kind of wanted me to do for a long time. And I think at the moment I'm just kind of going off what I wanted to do or what's best for me and my family. And that's involving taking a few risks. So I wish I knew that when I was younger. So I wish I was more inclined to do that when I was younger. Sorry.
Mate, I couldn't agree with you more. It took me till 32 to start taking some risks. So you're ahead of me there. Bro, where can people find you on the socials?
On Instagram, bro. Just Jed 12 is my thing. So if you want to get around me. But yeah, I'm basically just on Instagram, and I do use Twitter, but I don't post or anything on there. So probably just Instagram if we can.
Beautiful, mate. I think we've done well.
Right, yeah, bro.
What's on the rest of the day? How are you getting food, by the way?
This is a good thing to add in, actually. So the Japanese government, if you're a COVID victim or whatever you want to call it, if you're a crook with COVID, the government deliver breakfast, lunch, and dinner off to your house.
Yeah.
In like bento boxes or meals, free of charge. So they don't charge you anything. They just make sure that you don't leave the house. They give you everything you need. They give you water, food.
What about the other 3 meals during the day?
Well, as you can see, I probably look a bit slim at the moment, so I probably need to get on the scales and make sure I haven't lost any weight.
Man, I'm liking the beard too, by the way.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, so like with me, when I'm locked in my house just doing highlight videos and don't see anyone all week, I'm like, why the fuck would I shave?
Mate, I'm a bit disappointed in the bear cave. I thought you'd have like a flag or something up on the wall while you're doing these podcasts.
Yeah, Kate, the owner of Caffeine Gum Australia, great sponsor for this podcast. She made me like this flag. You know, you can have Zoom backgrounds.
Yeah.
So I've got one that I could put on here, but I just keep forgetting to do it.
I just need to hang up that wandering bear shirt in the background or something.
Yeah, I should do that.
Yeah. Instead of your fern on the wall.
Oh, mate, between 2 ferns, I think I've got two.
I've been watching that on YouTube recently. I don't know why. That just shows you how bored I am.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better. My stupid thing. Cool, bro. When am I going to see you again?
Mate, hopefully. So me and Kaylee, we're going to do.
Are you having a boy, by the way?
A girl. Yeah.
Girl.
Congrats. Hope she looks like Kaylee, eh? I hope she doesn't look like Olivia or someone or my other sister.
Well, actually, that was something I was going to ask you, and we could put all this in anyway. How come you're the only one? You're the only boy in the family, and you're the only one with any athletic ability of your siblings.
Who knows, mate? The postman may have paid a visit to my mum during the way, but no, I don't know. My old man he tells me he was a state sprinter, so I don't know where the athletic genes come from, but I'm glad I've got some that
you're the only sibling. You're the only sibling that got it.
Yeah, you watch Livy run around on a footy field, and she goes hard, but God, it looks painful her running. So everyone says we run alike though, but one just moves quicker than the other.
You're just 50 meters ahead of her. Man, if people listening to this who've seen me run, will be like, that fucking idiot is giving anyone shit about their running.
It was like you and Tarfu talking about the Reds kicking strategy the other day.
Mate, he was really good to talk to, but I was so nervous. Like, I've talked to him a few times, but I was like, fuck, he's coming on, and like, I don't know him like I know you, so I was a little bit nervous to talk to him, but he was good. So I cut you off before. Are you planning on coming back to Oz at all?
Yeah. So maybe in like August or September, I think we're gonna go. So we're gonna go home, and then I think we're still planning on doing maybe like a vow renewal or something, or like a party back in Australia, depending on whether shit goes ahead or what coronavirus looks like. But we're definitely planning on heading home and seeing everyone, and then before the season starts back up over here. So one thing I'd really love to do is try get my 100 games first grade for South. I think I'm about 8 games short. So
are you?
Yeah, I think that's a dream that I'd love to fulfill and get that, and then but yeah, if I'm playing back in Australia, it'll only be for South, I'd imagine.
Man, I'm sure you'd be welcome back. Yeah. I got this theory about anyone that stays at Southern Districts for a long time. And if you look at, so you've been there pretty much as long as I have, and anyone that stays there for a long time tends to be a bit of a lunatic in some way or another. Otherwise,
who could you know?
Oh, man, I got a Seattle Seawolves prop. Who's probably Exhibit A. Well, you bought a couple of them up before, and Mr. Alex Gibbon.
Yeah.
Like, who else could we throw under the bus? Rob James has been there 15 years.
Surely Smarties. There's some. He paints a perfect picture, but
the reality is, the reality is far less. And bad. I can't talk. I'll never leave the place. It's the only place I've been where I've ever felt truly at home, and that probably says a lot about the place.
shows the quality of people in there for sure.
Oh, mate, good people. I've been fucking going crazy hard. Yeah, mate, you know the people that I hang around with. It's like it's almost harder to avoid it than it is to. 100%. Like, mate, I've been trying because I became a bit of a fat cunt over Christmas. Like, I got to 123 kilos. It's just fucking disgraceful, just eating pasta and beers every day. And I kind of went on this like track my calories type thing.
Yeah.
And I'm down about 6 kilos now, but if I want to lose weight, I got to have like 2,400 calories a day. I track my calories all day. I have 1,000 left at about 4 p.m. on a Thursday. Our friend Rob James, who lives literally 200 meters away from me now.
That's your first issue.
Yeah, well, he moved here. I didn't, I'm like, fuck, that's not good for my health. But he's come over for a beer, and I'm just sitting there on Thursday. I've got no work to do. I'm fucking bored out of my mind. Kate's teaching or something. I'm like, fuck, righto. I end up going like 3,000 calories over for the day. I wanted to talk to you about the Starlight Foundation. You've done a lot of work with them for a long time. How did you get started and involved with them?
Yeah, so when I was younger, my family, my cousin passed away from leukemia when I was younger. When he was 21, and he was kind of the closest thing. He stayed with our family quite regularly, and you know, my auntie wasn't really that wealthy at the time, and I didn't have quite the money to support. So they stayed with us quite a fair bit. So, and I could be getting some of this wrong because I was quite young, but Starlight at the time, you know, along with many other foundations, found ways to help him and our family out. But you know, when I kind of started off getting into rugby and went into, you know, the Waratahs and kind of working out what to do differently, like in terms of what am I going to be outside of football as well. Our Rupert guy, we had an unreal one at the time. They're all unreal, but the one we had, Lachlan McBain, he's an unreal bloke. I still chat to him to this day. He's worth a shout out. So he kind of got me in touch with the Starlight guys, and they sort of found out the story behind why I wanted to get involved. And we've kind of been ambassadors. I've been an ambassador for them ever since, although I don't really feel like one lately because of COVID sort of not shut us out, but has sort of restricted everything that we can do there. But, you know, they're an amazing foundation. Like, you could only imagine what they're having to do for families at this time where everything's locked down. Like the staff that they do, like they're unbelievable. They're the stuff that they do. But, you know, that getting involved with that sort of stuff, and the boys, you know, have always just touched on my teammates here at the TARS as well. Like, especially in recent times, whenever I'd try to organise something like a Christmas party or something like that, like I've never had a teammate to toss their nose up at something like that or not want to do anything like that. Like, whenever we've done stuff from, you know, boys learn a whole song of The Greatest Showman to sing for the kids at Starlight. Like, you can imagine there's quite a 30 Super Rugby guys who all have agendas in themselves to put themselves up on a stage in front of, you know, kids and families who they wouldn't have a clue who they are and sing a song that they're very uncomfortable with singing. It just goes to show, like, the stuff that some of these guys are made from. So, you know, they've been great, and, you know, representing Starlight's something that's, you know, very important to me and my family. So, yeah, I love doing it.
And if people want to donate, well, I'll find the link and just share it when I share this, but starlightfoundation.com.au, something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's I normally have it on my Instagram there. So, to be honest, as I said, I've kind of been a missing sort of ambassador this last year because of everything that's been going on, which is a bit shit for me. But I can chuck one up there, or I'll send one off to you just in case. If anyone wants to donate, like, they'll really love your support, and it goes such a long way with these guys. You know, the stuff they do in hospitals is really amazing work. So any support would be greatly appreciated.
You're a good man, Jed Holloway.